Come under here and you want to make sure this brake is on. So you always want to make sure the surface they're in, if it has wheels, that you lock the brakes, as well as the surface they're going to. Okay. This guy, the brakes get put on and off about 6 times during the activity. And you'll see why in a minute. Okay, bed rails, push to release, and then they slide in to get out of the way. This is traditionally what you'll see in the hospital or the skilled nursing setting. Some skilled nursing centers still have the old beds, which are a nightmare because they're manual crank. All right, this one, the up and down, well, it doesn't work. But it's on the outside. It's on the outside for a reason, because they don't want the patient moving the bed up and down in space. But on the inside are the controls to raise the head and the feet. So the patient does have control over that. It also has a call bell, and it has, they can turn the light on and off. Okay, and this one doesn't lock, so just beware. All right, when you get a bed for free, it's for a reason, right? So this is the Hoyer lift. Each lift has a weight capacity. This one is 400 pounds. Okay, they do have bariatric lifts that go up to, I think, 7 or 750. And they do have bariatric rooms now in hospitals where the lift is built into the ceiling. So a patient who is medically compromised, who is morbidly obese, weighs more than 500 or 600 pounds, they can specialize their room for them, or put them in a specialized room that has the lift permanently in that room, because they know that patient's going to need that lift for everything. And this is portable. So if all of a sudden you need the lift for a patient and you need it now because you found them on the floor and it's in another room, oh well, what do you do, right? You have to wait for the lift to become free. So for that morbidly obese bariatric patient, they are starting to specialize rooms for them. Okay? So the lift has multiple components. Here are the brakes, that little lever that you push down and unlatch. Okay? It does have expandable legs, and once we get the Hoyer lift out from under the bed, then we need to immediately expand the legs. It pulls toward you and then slides over. The reason we expand the legs is what? Base of support. Because at this point, my patient is here. My patient is in the sling at this point. And if I expand the legs under the bed, it won't come out. So I have to pull the lift out from under the bed, and as soon as those legs clear the bed, then I open them up, because my patient is here and I want to expand that base of support. Ready? This is the harness for the sling. It does rotate, which is nice, because that means you don't have to pull the sling all the way across the room and come back to line your patient up with where they're going to end up sitting. You can turn the patient gently within the lift to get their head where it needs to be and get their bottom where it needs to be. Does that make sense? So if I pull the sling out, my patient's hooked up, I pull the sling out. If my wheelchair is here, I don't want to have to pull this all the way out here and all the way over here to get them lined up with the chair. So I can, and always 2 people, golden rule, never ever do this alone. As soon as you take the chance, it's a perfect storm. Okay, so you never do this alone. So while I'm pulling this out, whoever's at the head I can pull it out this far and they can start rotating my patient, and now I open the legs up and I can just go back with my patient. Does that make sense? Because they can turn the patient to align them with the surface that we're headed toward. Okay? This is the control. Where are you? The only thing the lift does is go up and down. The harness pivots with the patient in it. So this is like a Six Flags ride for kids, right? Okay? So when you get your patient in the sling, and the sling is hooked up to the harness, then you raise your patient off of the bed surface just enough so they're floating. We don't need to bring them way up into the air. That's not necessary. We just need to unweight them from the surface so we can move the lift and get them into their new space, right? Once we get them in their new space, the person at the head, or once we get them facing the new space, and I'm gonna ask you to bring your chair over here.
Do you want me in the corner?
Pardon me?
Do you want me in the corner?
Yes. Right about there is good. There needs to be enough space behind the chair that the second person can be here. Okay? So there's one person controlling the direction of the lift, and the other person is with the patient, controlling the patient, and they need to be able to get back behind the chair, because when it's time to lower the patient, they need to pull them up into a more sitting position. Otherwise, when I lower the lift, their bottom is gonna be right on the edge, and they're gonna go. All right? This is too late to try to get them sitting up. So you wanna pull the sling, and the sling has handles. Okay? So if you're the person at the head, once we get ready to lower the patient, you're gonna pull on these handles, and it's gonna pull them into an upright seated position, so that when I lower them, or when you lower them, their bottom is all the way back in the chair. Okay? So far so good?
Mm-hmm.
Lots of pieces.